Hello everyone, it's Refresh, and I am here to bring you a battle between two Kaladesh Planeswalker decks. Over here we have the Chandra deck, and over there we have the Nissa deck. And we'll just do the best of 3 and see how it goes. We'll roll for initiative first. Chandra gets 6. Nissa gets 11. Nissa will opt to be on the play. We'll draw 7. We have 2 tap lands and nothing we can really cast right away, but I don't know if we can ship this because we have 2 3-drops here. So let's just hope that we can get more 3-drops, and we'll hold this. Chandra draws 7. We've got 3 stone quarries and things that we can play, so let's go ahead and play this group. Turn 1, Nissa will play a Woodland Stream tapped, and we'll pass turn. Chandra draws a Renegade Firebrand. Chandra will play a Stone Quarry tapped, and we'll pass turn. Nissa untaps. Nissa draws. Nissa plays a Woodland Stream tapped, and Nissa passes turn. Chandra untaps. Chandra draws. Chandra plays a Mountain, and Chandra will tap both and play a Speedway Fanatic with haste. Chandra will attack with the Speedway Fanatic for 2. Nissa cannot block, will take 2 and go to 18. Chandra will pass turn. Nissa untaps. Nissa draws. Nissa plays the Forest. Nissa will tap all 3, tapping this one for blue, this one for green, and this one for green, to play an Imperial Voyager, which has flying and trample, and will pass the turn. Chandra untaps. Chandra draws. Chandra will play the Plains. Chandra will tap the Stone Quarry for white, Mountain, Plains, and play the Renegade Freighter. Chandra will crew the Renegade Freighter with the Speedway Fanatic, giving it haste, and then will attack with the Renegade Freighter. And when it attacks, it's going to get +1/+1 in trample, so it's going to become a 5/4. Nissa declines to block and will take 5 to go to 13. Chandra will pass turn. Nissa untaps. Nissa draws. Nissa plays the Forest. Nissa will tap everything for green mana and will play Guardian of the Great Conduit, and Nissa will pass turn. Chandra untaps. Chandra draws. Chandra plays a Stone Quarry tapped. Chandra plays Veteran Motorist. When it enters the battlefield, we'll scry 2. We'll take a look at the top 2 cards. We will put both of these on the bottom. And then we will tap the Veteran Motorist to crew the Renegade Freighter. The Renegade Freighter will get +1/+1 until end of turn, so it's a 5/4. Then we will attack with it as a 6/5. Nissa declines to block and will take 6 to go to 7. Chandra will pass turn. Nissa untaps. Nissa draws. Nissa plays the Island. Nissa will tap 2 green and play the Servant of the Conduit, getting 2 energy. And then we'll tap green, green, and blue to play a Thriving Rhino, getting 2 more energy to go up to 4. And then Nissa's going to pass turn. Chandra untaps. Chandra draws. Chandra plays a Stone Quarry tapped. Chandra is going to crew the Renegade Freighter with Veteran Motorist, giving it +1/+1 as a 5/4, and then is going to attack with it as a 6/5. Nissa will gang block with the Guardian of the Great Conduit, the Servant of the Conduit, and the Thriving Rhino, as well as the Imperial Voyager. In response, Chandra will tap out and play Flame Lash on the Guardian of the Great Conduit to deal it 4 damage. Nissa loses the Guardian of the Great Conduit and has 3 creatures remaining. Chandra will order the damage to kill the Imperial Voyager and the Thriving Rhino and leave the Servant of the Conduit for last. Damage happens, the Imperial Voyager and the Thriving Rhino both die. The Servant of the Conduit remains, and they together deal 6 damage to the Renegade Freighter. The Renegade Freighter dies. And that is the end of Chandra's turn. Nissa untaps. Nissa draws. Nissa plays an island. Nissa taps out. Also taps the Servant of the Conduit using 1 energy for 1 blue mana to play the Aether Squall Adept, and then Nissa passes turn. Chandra untaps. Chandra draws. Chandra plays the Plains. Chandra will tap out, play the Aerial Responder and the Spireside Infiltrator, and will pass turn. Nissa untaps. At the beginning of Nissa's upkeep, she gets 3 energy from the Aether Squall Ancient, taking her to 6. Nissa draws. Nissa taps out and plays a Terrain Elemental and another Guardian of the Great Conduit, and then Nissa will pass turn. Chandra untaps. Chandra draws. Chandra taps out to play 2 Renegade Firebrands, and Chandra will pass turn. Nissa untaps. Nissa gains 3 energy to go to 9. Nissa draws. Nissa will spend 8 energy to use Aether Squall Ancient's ability and return all other creatures to their owner's hands, picking up the Servant of the Conduit, the Terrain Elemental, and the Guardian of the Great Conduit. Chandra will pick up the Speedway Fanatic, the Veteran Motorist, the Aerial Responder, the Spireside Infiltrator, and the Renegade Firebrands. Nissa will attack with the Aether Squall Ancient for 6. Chandra cannot block and will take 6 and go to 14. On Nissa's second main phase, Nissa will tap out and play Guardian of the Great Conduit and Servant of the Conduit. Servant of the Conduit will generate 2 energy, going up to 3 energy, and Nissa will pass turn. Chandra untaps. Chandra draws. Chandra will tap 4 mana to play Fateful Showdown, targeting the Aether Squall Ancient. Fateful Showdown will deal damage equal to the number of cards in her hand. That is 6 damage. Aether Squall Ancient dies. Chandra will then discard 6 cards and then draw 6 cards. We drew a Built to Last, Plains, Renegade Freighter, Plains, Chandra Pyro Genius, and Gearshift Ace. We'll play the Plains, and we'll tap 3, play the Renegade Freighter, and then we'll pass turn. Nissa untaps. Nissa draws. Nissa plays a Forest. Nissa will attack with both the Servant of the Conduit and the Guardian of the Great Conduit for 4. Chandra cannot block. We'll take 4 and go to 10. Nissa will tap both islands and all 3 forests to play a Terrain Elemental and a Janjit Sentry, and we'll get 2 energy to go to 5, and Nissa will pass turn. Chandra untaps. Chandra draws. Chandra will play a Stone Quarry tapped. We'll tap 2 to play the Gearshift Ace. We'll tap the Gearshift Ace to crew the Renegade Freighter, and we'll attack with a 5/4 Trample First Striking Renegade Freighter. Nissa will decline to block. In response, Chandra will play Built to Last on the Renegade Freighter, giving it +2/+2 and Indestructible for 7 damage. Nissa takes 7 and is defeated. And that's the end of game 1 with a slight victory from Chandra. It was pretty close towards the end. We'll see how game 2 goes. Game 2, Nissa will opt to play first. Nissa will draw 7. Nissa has a Forest, Guardian of the Great Conduit, Nissa, Nature's Artisan, Terrain Elemental, Woodland Stream, Longtusk Cub, and Thriving Turtle. It's not a great hand, but we're going to keep it anyways. Chandra draws 7. She has a Mountain, a Flamelash, Mountain, Renegade Freighter, Mountain, Stone Quarry, and Fleetwheel Cruiser. There are no creatures to go with the vehicles, but being able to smash in with a Fleetwheel Cruiser at one point sounds good, and there aren't enough creatures to get there. The Flamelash will hold off some attacks, so we'll go ahead and keep this. Nissa plays a Woodland Stream tapped, and will pass turn. Chandra draws. Chandra plays a Stone Quarry tapped, and will pass turn. Nissa untaps. Nissa draws. Nissa plays a Forest. Nissa will tap both for a Long-Tusked Cub, and then Nissa will pass turn. Chandra untaps. Chandra draws. Chandra will play the Mountain. Chandra will pass turn. Nissa untaps. Nissa draws. Nissa plays a forest. Nissa will attack with the long-tusked cub. Chandra cannot block. We'll take 2 and go to 18. Nissa gains 2 energy from long-tusked cub's ability. And then on her second main phase, she'll tap the woodland stream for blue and play the thriving turtle. When it enters the battlefield, she'll get 2 more energy to go to 4. She will tap the 2 forests and she will play a terrain elemental. And then Nissa will pass turn. Chandra will draw. Chandra will play a mountain. Chandra will tap 3 and play a renegade freighter and will pass turn. Nissa will untap. Nissa will draw. Nissa will attack with the long-tusked cub and the terrain elemental for 5. Chandra cannot block. Nissa will eat 4 energy to give the long-tusked club 2 +1/+1 counters to make the total damage 7. Chandra takes 7 and goes to 11. Nissa gains 2 energy, and then Nissa will play the Imperial Voyager, and Nissa will pass turn. Chandra untaps. Chandra draws. Chandra will play Mountain, and Chandra will pass turn. Nissa untaps. Nissa draws. Nissa will attack with the Imperial Voyager, the Terrain Elemental, the Long-Tusked Cub, and will leave back the Thriving Turtle. Chandra will tap out and will play Flame Lash on the Imperial Voyager, dealing it 4 damage. The Imperial Voyager dies. Nissa will eat the 2 energy to give the Long-Tusked Cub another +1/+1 counter, dealing 8 damage. Chandra takes 8 and goes to 3. Nissa will gain 2 energy from the Long-Tusked Cub's ability. On her second main, she'll tap both forests and play another terrain elemental, and then will pass turn. Chandra untaps. Chandra draws. Chandra plays a Stone Quarry. Chandra taps 3 for Weld-Fast Monitor, and Chandra passes turn. Nissa untaps. Nissa draws. Nissa attacks with both terrain elementals and the long-tusked cub. Chandra blocks the long-tusked cub with the Weld-Fast Monitor. The Weld-Fast Monitor dies, and Chandra will take 6 damage from the terrain elementals and will perish. And that will end the game, giving Nissa a win on the second game. It wasn't very close. Even with 3 mana, Nissa really pounded her way through on the strength of that long-tusked cub. So we'll go to game 3 and see how it plays. Game 3, Chandra will choose to be on the play. Draw 7 cards. We have a Spireside Infiltrator, Flame Lash, Renegade Freighter, Arrow Responder, Plains, Mountain, and Renegade Firebrand. We can't cast any of the spells that we have. We need 1 more land to be able to play anything, but a lot of our spells are within 1 land. So we'll keep this hand and hope that we can draw 1 more land. Nissa will draw 7. We have a Guardian of the Great Conduit Forest, Long-Tusked Cub Forest, Guardian of the Great Conduit Forest, and Island. I think just on the strength of the Long-Tusked Cub, this will be worth keeping, so we will keep this hand as well. Chandra will open with a Mountain, and Chandra will pass turn. Nissa draws a Forest, Nissa plays a Forest, and Nissa will pass turn. Chandra draws, Chandra plays a Plains, and Chandra will pass turn. Nissa draws, Nissa plays an Island. Nissa will tap the Forest and the Island for a Long-Tusked Cub, and Nissa will pass turn. Chandra draws a Spireside Infiltrator. Chandra will play a Mountain. Chandra will play a Spireside Infiltrator, and Chandra will pass turn. Nissa untaps. Nissa draws. Nissa will play a Forest. Nissa will tap a Forest and an Island and play Sage of Shayla's Claim, and will get 3 energy when it enters the battlefield. And Nissa will pass turn. Chandra will untap. Chandra will draw. Chandra will pay 3 and will play a Renegade Freighter, and Chandra will pass turn. Nissa untaps. Nissa draws. Nissa will play a Forest. Nissa will tap out and play Guardian of the Great Conduit, and Nissa will pass turn. At the end of Nissa's turn, Spireside Infiltrator will crew the Renegade Freighter, and when it becomes tapped, it will deal 1 damage to Nissa. Nissa takes 1 damage and goes to 19, and Nissa will pass turn. Chandra untaps. Chandra draws. Chandra will pay 3 and play a Spireside Infiltrator, and Chandra will pass turn. Nissa untaps. Nissa draws. Nissa plays an island. Nissa will decline to attack. Nissa will play a long-finned Sky Whale, and Nissa will pass turn. During Nissa's end step, Chandra will tap both Spireside Infiltrators to crew the Renegade Freighter. When they become tapped, each will do 1 damage to Nissa. Nissa takes 2 damage and goes to 17, and Nissa's turn ends. Chandra untaps. Chandra draws. Chandra will tap 3 and play a Brazen Scourge, and Chandra will pass turn. Nissa untaps. Nissa draws a Verdant Crescendo. Nissa will attack with the long-finned Sky Whale. Chandra cannot block, will take 4 and go to 16. Nissa will tap forests and islands and will play Verdant Crescendo. She will search her library for a basic land card and put it onto the battlefield tapped. We'll take an island, put it onto the battlefield tapped, and then we'll search our library and graveyard for our card named Nissa Nature's Artisan, reveal it, and put it into your hand. Here's Nissa Nature's Artisan. We'll reveal it, and we'll put it into our hand. We'll shuffle our library. And then Nissa will pass turn. During Nissa's end step, Chandra will tap both the Spireside Infiltrators to crew the Renegade Freighter, and will deal 2 damage to Nissa. Nissa takes 2 and goes to 15, and then Nissa's turn ends. Chandra untaps. Chandra draws. Chandra taps plains and a mountain and plays a Trusty Companion, and Chandra will pass turn. Nissa untaps. Nissa draws a Riparian Tiger. Nissa plays a forest. Nissa will attack with the long-finned Sky Whale. Chandra cannot block, will take 4 and go to 12. Nissa will tap 7 and play the Aether Squall Ancient, and Nissa will pass turn. At the end of Nissa's turn, Chandra will tap both Spireside Infiltrators to crew the Renegade Freighter to deal 2 damage to Nissa. Nissa takes 2 damage and goes to 13, and Nissa's turn ends. Chandra untaps. Chandra draws. Chandra plays a Plains. Chandra taps out and plays a Snare Thopter. It has flying and haste, and Chandra will pass turn. Nissa untaps everything. Nissa draws an Arborback Stomper. Nissa attacks with the Aether Squall Ancient for 6. Chandra takes 6 and goes to 6. Nissa plays herself, Nature's Artisan. She comes into the battlefield with 6 loyalty counters. Nissa immediately plus 3s to go to 9 loyalty and gains 3 life to go back up to 16. And Nissa passes turn. During Nissa's end step, Chandra will tap both Spireside Infiltrators to crew the Renegade Freighter to deal 2 damage to Nissa. Nissa takes 2 damage and goes to 14. Also, Nissa should have gained 3 energy from the Aether Squall Ancient this turn to go up to 6 energy. And Nissa's turn ends. Chandra untaps. Chandra draws. Chandra plays a mountain, and Chandra passes turn. Nissa untaps. Nissa gains 3 energy from the Aether Squall Ancient to go up to 9. Nissa draws an island. Nissa plays the island. Nissa will use the Aether Squall Ancient's ability and spend 8 energy to return all other creatures to their owner's hands. That is the Long-Finned Sky Whale, the Sage of Shallow's Claim, the Long-Tusked Cub, the Guardian of the Great Conduit. With the trigger on the stack, Chandra will tap both Spireside Infiltrators to deal 2 damage to Nissa. Nissa takes 2 damage to go to 13. Chandra picks up the Trusty Companion, the Renegade Freighter, both Spireside Infiltrators, the Brazen Scourge, and the Snare Thopter. Nissa attacks Chandra with the Aether Squall Ancient for the win. Chandra takes 6 damage and loses the game. And Nissa gets a resounding victory for the 3rd game of the Battle of the Kaladesh Planeswalker decks. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button. Let me know what you thought about the games in the comments below. If I made any misplays, please note them. If you'd like to see more such videos, hit subscribe. Next time I'll be back with a battle between these 2 decks and the Face the Hydra Challenge deck from Theros. This is Refresh. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.